This is my audience. Hello, bonjour, hola, aloha, ciao. My name is Rebecca Herrera, and today I want to talk on the importance of why, and I want to persuade to you to teach your children another language and why it is important and why it is beneficial. So, while most may be unfamiliar with the benefits of being bilingual, it helps not only with communication but critical thinking, a variety of opportunities. Learning it as a young age will also help with actually learning the language rather than just in high school saying you learned another language but you didn't learn another language. I come from a bilingual family, and I'm able to speak two languages, English and Spanish. And this has helped me with different opportunities in life. I have been able to be a translator for my friends and family who don't speak English as well as they need to in order to communicate with other people. I have been able to communicate with other people at work and to help them out whenever someone comes in and they need help and they don't speak a language. The English, I am able to help them and get their order and give them service. Today, I like to point out some reasoning and persuade you to why a second language is important and why you should learn it, whether you're young or old. But if you have a younging at home, it is very good for them to go ahead and learn it and start developing a new language. Un idioma distinto es una visión diferente a la vida. A different language is a different version of life. This was said by Federico Fellini. First and foremost, I would like to say that it is true. Knowing two different languages is like living a whole different life. You are able to speak both of them. You are able to communicate not only verbally, but understand the culture of others because you understand their language. Dan Romero said, learning a second language can beef up your brain's executive control center, the hub that helps manage your cognitive processes. Meaning that you're not only benefiting yourself because you're going to be able to communicate globally, but you are also helping and exercising your brain. It is like if you go to the gym and you exercise all the time and you are building muscle, you're doing the same for your brain. You keep your hippocampus, which is your memory part, alive of your brain, and it allows you to later on not develop a disease that could fall under dementia, Alzheimer's, because you are learning constantly something new. You're keeping your brain active, and by learning a new language, you have to develop different skills. You have to develop new words. You have to be able to vary between what this word means and what this word means and be able to translate back and forth to what you're trying to say. That keeps your brain and your neurons going and active. Also, a second language offers a strong exercise regime for the executive control center, which is good, like I said, because you wouldn't be able to get a different type of disease. You wouldn't be able to get a disease like dementia or Alzheimer's. Sorry. Dr. Albert Suzanne states that college graduates that speak a second language have 2 to 3% better chance of getting a good job. This is another reason why a second language is important, because you benefit from receiving a good job. You are able to have more opportunities, like I said. Whenever most college graduates don't speak two languages, or they have tried to learn another language because they were forced in high school. And when you learn it in high school, most people have to take a second language in order to graduate, in order to be accepted into the college they want, or in order to be accepted into the program they want. And if you're in college, you have to take a second language if you want to be accepted, for example, in the medical field. And learning a second language is beneficial in the medical field because you get paid a little more than a person who is monolingual instead of bilingual. because you are able to help out. And it's not also in the medical field, also in the business field. You're able to help your business owner expand globally, expand with different communities, expand with different cultures, because you are able to have that interaction with those different cultures. You are able to explain to them in words that they can understand, and not only words that you understand and that you are like, okay, this is what I get. But you aren't able to explain to them what you're trying to say. You are, like, what I'm trying to say is you are able to negotiate better with them than if you didn't know another language. Another good thing about knowing another language is, like I said, the pay. People who are bilingual or trilingual or know different languages get paid a lot more than people who are only speak one language. And that is, again, because they help the business expand globally instead of staying local. And it looks really good on a resume when you are ready to attend college, when you're ready to attend a job, when you're ready to go into that graduate degree. You knowing another language will be beneficial in the end. And back to my statement of learning it young is better, because children's minds are developing. They are growing every day. You teach them how to do this, and you teach them how to crawl, and you teach them how to hold a pencil. So if you start them at a young age and teach them another language, they will grasp on it easily, because their brain is developing, which eventually will lead them to think critically. They will help them think critically. It will help them think creative. It will benefit them in their schoolwork. Studies have shown, and there have been experiments that Dr. Albert has done, that he has compared students who know one language and students who are bilingual, and has seen that there is a difference in how they turn out, how the ones who are bilingual have two different perspectives, because they know two different languages. They know the culture a little bit, so they grasp ideas from both cultures instead of from just one culture. They are able to go out and grasp information for a certain project to make them expand. They're not necessarily smarter, but they think more outside of the box instead of staying inside the box. And here I have a graph from another study that also shows that monolingual and bilingual, and it shows that they perform better than monolingual children. And this was done in 2016, and it's a graph about their selective listening and how they creative thinking. They did this in a study for children, because it also shows that people who are bilingual have better listening spans. They pay attention to closer to detail and everything else, because they're going back to the center of the brain control. They have to be able to grasp that information, and their brain has to be able to process the words. If I'm talking to them in English and I use words they need to know, their mind is going to go, okay, their brain is going to start working again, and they're going to, okay. Or if I talk to them in a different language, their brain has to grasp that information that they learned from that language to be able to communicate, which again improves their learning. So that is why I think a second language should be learned. It is important for us to be able to communicate, not locally, but globally, because you never know where your life will take you. You never know, when you graduate with a nursing degree, you decide to become a travel nurse, and you are sent to France, and you have limited communication because you only speak English. They have limited communication because they don't. The United States of America is one of the fewest places that does not teach a second language. In China, schools teach English at a very early age, so their students and their children are able to communicate globally. In Mexico, they teach English in elementary school, so they are able to communicate whenever they start expanding their horizons. with that, in conclusion, I think that foreign language should be a mandatory thing in elementary school and not high school, because when you're in high school, you take it for obligation. When you're in elementary school, you will learn it because you're sitting there and your mind is developing new things and it's grasping the information that it needs to grasp. With that being said, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you consider learning a new language, looking into learning a new language to not just benefit you globally, but also to help your mind stay active and healthy. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. That is said by language. And it's true. If you only speak one language, there are limits to where you can go. If you travel to Mexico, for example, and you speak only English and you go there and you can't really communicate with them, you're not going to have as much fun if you knew two languages, if you knew Spanish, because you will be able to communicate with them. Thank you. Goodbye. Adios.